and that gets locked in by Heish.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a wasted ban for Sengoku. The Riven ban coming out. If you remember their match with Queso, we were talking about at the time, said it was a pick ban, was completely ignored. Honestly, I mean, obviously we have seen a lot of the Asian teams certainly doing very, very good Rivens, but maybe that's just a lack of prep. Maybe, I don't know, because I don't think eBRO were even considering picking Riven there. It is going to be obviously the Renekton picked in there, the Nunu and Willup, who we saw very successfully yesterday. And of course, this is something we have been talking about, the Varus. The Varus is kind of like that main go-to carry pick these days, certainly in the Horizon Cup.
Yeah, Varus fulfills a niche that is quite hard for non-Ziggs bot laners to do, which is basically he can clear waves by himself. He can very comfortably 2v1. He unlocks your support to roam across the map to influence fights around Rift Herald, potentially around Dragon, depending on where you are on the map. He can 2v1 mid. We've seen a lot of teams rotate their bot lane mid very early on into the game, and so he's very good at just clearing waves mid as well. Has lots of teamfight presence, a great anti-melee tool, has engage, has poke. Varus has got a lot in his kit, and you can see why he is being so heavily prioritized here by teams. We're going to see the Nami locked up with him. It's a very strong lane, doesn't have many weaknesses. We'll see the Darius come through. It has again been a very popular pick here at the Horizon Cup. Strong anti-melee teamfight presence, combos very nicely with the Nunu as well. But EBG are responding nicely. They aren't putting too many eggs in the melee basket. We're seeing the Kai'Sa come through and the Orianna. It is interesting to see a very early rotation Orianna here. That indicates that Tix is just a little bit more comfortable in that champion. But a blind Orianna can definitely be risky. However, the scaling's certainly there for eBRO Gaming. If they can get to the late game, these are the picks that will just do insane amounts of damage in teamfight situations. And I think if you're Sengoku Gaming, especially with the Ahri lock-in here, D-Man, which by the way is a great pick for Hack, they don't have the same level of scaling potential. In terms of the way they want to play teamfights, sure, but in terms of pure damage output, they don't quite have that kind of late game flair that an Orianna and a Kai'Sa and a Graves is going to bring for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're looking at EBG. It's all about the control. You know, they've got that big tanky front line. Basically get Kite and Jastly to get that damage down. Easiest going to be obviously going in there with the Graves, who we have seen be very successful so far, obviously, throughout the tournament. But I got to be honest, I do worry for EBG. I feel they're up against a really tough team here in Sengoku. I do feel, as the desk pointed out, it's going to be quite an aggressive game. I think we're going to see a lot of team fights throughout this one. Both teams have shown that they are not afraid for those early engagements.
No, and I think we've got to keep our eyes on Rush specifically. Like, Nunu can be an early ganker. Rush likes to do 2v2 with Hack in the mid lane. He invests a lot of resources into Hack specifically. And if you can get an Ahri ahead of an Orianna, if you can burn Orianna's flash early on into the game, Tix might become the proverbial punching bag for Sengoku Gaming to allow themselves to snowball from mid lane priority, pick up those very easy objectives in the river as well. So keep your eyes on where Hack is, Rush is pathing. I think he's going to invest a lot of resources into Hack. But if eBRO Gaming can get to a solid place where they have 2 items on their main carries and they're still even in the game, they've got a really strong team fight. And we know that is what eBRO Gaming love to do. Engage, engage, engage. And they obviously have the tools this time round to have a really solid team fight to back it up. But they have to get to a point where these carries are viable enough to do the heavy lifting. And that for Orianna and Kai'Sa is usually around the 2 to 3 item mark, maybe leaning more towards 3 for the Orianna specifically. But they have a big gap in the game where Sengoku Gaming can potentially snowball things out of control.
Well, if you've just joined us, if you're new to Wildrift, then welcome. Great to have you here for the Horizon Cup. We're seeing eBRO Gaming up against Sengoku. Both teams, I wouldn't say need a win, especially, I mean, eBRO absolutely need a win, but for Sengoku, you know, they're a team that's sort of on that cusp, I feel, of sort of going through. They showed a lot of great promise yesterday, there's no doubt about it, but I expect to see some very early fights. If you're wondering how things are going to lay out, well, we're certainly going to be seeing maybe a fight around the Scuttle Crabs around the 3-minute mark. And then we're going to be looking towards the Rift Herald, and depending on what Drake spawns in and around there as well, that's when things will really kick off. Average game time, you're looking around 15 to 20 minutes. These are pretty quick games. Everything much faster than you would expect if you've, say, come from here from League of Legends.
Speaking of, I saw that Selfmade, if many of you guys know who Selfmade is, he's a current LEC jungler. He was tweeting about Wildrift yesterday, saying it's so much fun to watch. So it's good to see that. Hack, though, immediately under pressure here.
He's in trouble. They're surely going to follow this one through. Isis is going to go in. Oh, charge on the turret. It's going to be a 1-for-1 in the end. And you kind of saw it coming there from Hack. He knew that charm was possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, remember at home, if you want to get involved in the action, we have Prime Gaming drop. You get a random skin chest, so make sure you link your accounts together and go and grab yourself your free skin chest. I know I've done mine. D-Man, have you done yours, mate?
I have, of course. My Amazon Prime. I sometimes question why I still have Amazon Prime. You know, I don't order that much these days, but I still always have it. And then actually, once all this stops, things start dropping. I think that's why I have it, mate. That's why I have it. This the Axe replay straight here of Hack just getting that charm off instantly on Isis. And oh, you hate to see it. I mean, honestly, I understand why Isis went for it, but you gotta have expected that charm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, not all Aries take charm level 2. So it's a bit of a gamble. Some Aries will take their Foxfire and just look to use the movement speed and go all in that way. They don't always, great headbutt by the way, they don't always use their charm level 2. So, you know, it's not absolutely expected that you're going to see the charm coming out from Hack there, but Hack held his skills nicely. I love that he's making a very quick roam down here towards that ball line. Great charm.
Yeah, not a lot else they can do about that one. The 4-man engage. It does mean that Kite's still being cautious. He has got a ward in that bush, so he can be cautious. And if that's a lot of snowballs coming out from Rush, so putting that punishment down, you've got to respect the Nunu. Can put a lot of damage down the jungle. They are going to try and keep the pressure on the top turret to try and react to this with Haitian Isis putting that damage down. But they need to get defensive in that mid because you can see the pressure already building there.
Honestly, this is a really good response from Haitian Isis. Like, they clear out some topside jungle, they get 2 plates on the top side of the map, and even with that dive taking place, the gold is ever so slightly in favor of eBRO. That was the best answer that eBRO could have found, given the amount of resources that Sengoku Gaming committed to that bot side dive. And you can see that Sengoku Gaming are also picking up on the rest of the Asian meta, kind of sort of facilitated by the Chinese teams. Very early roams to bot side of the map or top side of the map to essentially try and make quick plays around the turrets and then set up a lot of priority or even take a couple of early plates and then snowball gold that way. But I think eBRO responded as best they could have done there, D-Man.
Absolutely. So just the 1 kill trade between them. Honey Fruit being picked up by Hage there just to keep himself topped off. He's going to be there. It's almost becoming the classic that we've seen throughout Wildrift, the Renekton versus Darius battle. I feel like I'm back in Season 2 Worlds right now with Jax versus Renekton or something like that we had non-stop for about 20 games straight. But here we go. This is going to be the dive on the top there. Isis is here. They are going to commit to this. The Dominus goes down. Hage is going to be able to tank it out. He turns around straight to Rush, and I think Rush is in trouble now. He tries to run to the turret for a bit of safety, but there's nowhere to go. And that is a great engage for eBRO.
Really good stuff. And I love the way that Isis is playing around Hage specifically. He is going to be your early mid-game carry. They get first tower of the game before the resistances have even dropped, and they're going in onto Hack. Does have that Spirit Rush, should be able to get away, but eBRO Gaming committing to their strong side of the map, which is the Renekton, and it is paying dividends for them. That is a huge early win. 2,000 gold in the bank.
Absolutely. Definitely working out. I gotta be honest, Sengoku, I mean, for Rush, he was just way too late to the party. Should never have shown himself there, gave himself away. But they are going to try and make up for this with the Rift Herald. You can see that the Drake is going to be the focus for eBRO. Charm comes down from Hack there, but that's not going to be enough for them. Kite will be able to cover that one off. Jastly in a great position. We know he can get that headbutt pulverize combo off there. They're committed to this Drake. Now, the Rift Herald's already gone down. They've got to be careful because the rest of Sengoku are arriving here. Jastly tries to keep him away. There goes the tidal wave to try and disengage, but the dragon has been picked up and they will disengage. Just a 1 death for the Drake. I think they'll be satisfied.
I think you trade Rift Herald, but they're dropping Rift Herald mid. This is a really good immediate response from Sengoku. They want to try and pick up this mid lane tier 1. I don't know. I mean, Rush is buying a bit of space. They might be able to get away with this. It'll be close.
I'm sure if they've quite got enough, the wave clear is pretty good. They've got obviously both AD carries effectively there, but they do get the turret down, and that was the main focus of it. So Rift Herald absolutely put to good use there. And the defense, obviously, with the bottom turret already gone as well. 2-1 in favor of Sengoku. That sort of levels out the gold, as it were, after the Drake went to eBRO.
That's and this is a little bit of breaking down what just happened over the last few minutes there. Obviously, there was an immediate commit by Rush to the Rift Herald, given he saw so many resources from eBRO sort of appeared on the bot side of the map. So then obviously eBRO's immediate response was, well, it's Infernal Drake. It's the most important Drake in the game. Let's try and take that off the board straight away. So that was a really good immediate action by eBRO to say, okay, well, we know they're committing to Rift Herald, so let's just go for this Infernal Drake. I think then, obviously, because it took so long for them to get it down, there was a great collapse by Sengoku to try and challenge the Infernal. I think you'll be very happy to trade just the life of your support for the Infernal Drake, as you correctly mentioned, D-Man. But then that Rift Herald push, that was well timed by Sengoku. Obviously, they realized that they had the superior priority in mid lane and they could get away with shoving a minion wave to tower. I just felt like EZ could have committed a little harder to try and hit the eye of the Rift Herald a little quicker and take it down before it landed a couple of extra hits. Though, to be honest with you, that's a very minute point. That tower would have dropped soon after anyway. But I think realistically, he was a little risk averse in that situation where they could have potentially saved that mid lane tier 1. Because the problem now, D-Man, is when you lose mid lane tier 1, you lose safety on the map. That opens up both of your jungles. That opens up the red and blue side jungle for, very aggressive vision control to come through. And it makes it much harder to approach the river and contest objectives. Sengoku should now have the priority to go and land a lot of deep vision down and basically control the map from here on out.
It's certainly a huge vision cost, there's no doubt about that. He's just having to burn a flash there to get away from that biggest snowball. Alistair goes in, great engage from Jastly, but has he got the support that he needs? I'm not too sure, has to flash away there. So 2 flashes burnt on the side of eBRO for, well, what was a heal and a barrier, a smite coming out from Mochi, of course, to cover that off. But really, Sengoku now starting to gain quite a lot of that map control. The top turret almost certainly will be the next focus. You can see the Darius of Mochi just down on that Dragon lane, just putting the pressure down there, but look towards the top. That's where the Ahri is at the moment. We're going to start seeing that split push working in their favor. That's the bonus of Ahri. You've got that ability to just escape out of the danger as and when you need to.
I think also there was a clear sign for Sengoku to look for the engage there. They saw the Orianna top. Orianna is not really supposed to be in a side lane. He's
got no flash, he's got no flash, he has to fight this. He's got nowhere to go because he just burns it a moment ago, does just manage to dash away. I think, well, I mean, honestly, I think they could have followed that, but since they had no vision in and around the red buff, they chose not to.
One maybe could have pulled the trigger with his ultimate. That's maybe the one thing that could have got him away with it. But the quick draw was there for Graves. He was able to get out. Izez slinks his way back through his jungle. But look at the vision control now, D-Man. Very aggressive vision control, like we just mentioned a moment ago, in the blue and red side jungle. And that is making rotating between the lanes very risky for eBRO Gaming. They are finding it difficult to rotate cleanly between the top and bot side from mid. And that is allowing much more priority for Sengoku Gaming to set things up around these neutral objectives. As we have got the Dragon and the second Rift Herald spawning at a pretty much simultaneous time, I expect Sengoku Gaming to sort of set up aggressively on this and kind of force eBRO Gaming to walk into them. Although I say that, eBRO have now moved their way into the river.
There's zero vision for eBRO. Zero vision around here. This is all Sengoku. They have this completely covered off. All the snowballs coming out from Rush there. The charm misses. They ended up committing full blue buff just to try and make sure that goes their way. It is Drake. I don't think they're going to go for him. Not too sure. Pulling Jastly in there. He might turn this into a fight of his own. He's going to try and pop his ulti to get away from that. They are committing a lot to get Jastly down here, and it may cost them on the backside there. Hack will get taken down. There's a carry down. I've got to take that one. Rushing all sorts of trouble. He's going to get onto Isis. Isis will fall. And meanwhile, but look at the side. Kaiser is just popping off. Kite is doing work here, and Sengoku's targeting. I would question what they were going for there. Yes, I understand they want to get the jungler down, but put in so much to get that support, that seemed to cost them.
They're going for the Rift Herald without smite here. Rush was maybe looking for an angle. I'm gonna add a little caveat to this. This is Renekton to the moon, boys. This is eBRO Gaming investing in Renekton stonks and getting paid for it. Watch how much impact Heish has when he comes into the fight here. Straight over the wall, immediately zones out Hack, flashes in to ensure that Hack can't get a good escape path with his ultimate. And look at him. Look at how much damage he's doing. He's just sat there That's a big, beefy croc he is, and there is no one from Sengoku Gaming that can effectively deal with Heish. All of those resources that eBRO Gaming put into the top side of the map are paying dividends for them now. You knew that we could see this kind of adaptation from eBRO Gaming in just 2 days. They're already starting to look like a much more competitive team in the Horizon Cup right now. And a lot of it coming through the power of this Renekton pick. You can see why teams value this so heavily in competitive right now.
You can see the stand that they're going to throw the Herald down the mid, almost commit and just pull Sengoku over there, gives them that free time to get the Drake, and they may even be able to back this up here. The Herald will go in, commit. Now they're looking for the engage. H comes in. Tidal Wave already used the disengage. They do catch the Nami out there of Dejiwoo. Dejiwoo taken very low, but I don't think they've quite got enough to back it up. And Kite has gone too deep on this one. The dump comes in. They do manage to get the damage down. The stun's in there. Very scrappy fight at the end of that one. I'm not too sure either wanted to commit as they did, but both carriers fall.
But it is, at the end of the day, another Drake for eBRO Gaming. Like, you take a 1-for-1, but you get the Drake. That's still a win for eBRO. And this is, by the way, the Sengoku Gaming that took ThunderTalk to a ridiculously close series. ThunderTalk widely considered one of the favorites in the entire tournament. And suddenly eBRO are punching. They are punching what we thought was above their weight class. But they have certainly shaped things up here for the third day of the Horizon Cup. And like I said, I just think they had a really good early game strategy that's paying dividends for them. And you've got to remember, they also have the damage scaling in their favor. I think Alistair was such a nice pick as well, because how do you deal with this big beefy cow that just sits in front of your team whilst your Kai'Sa and Orianna have free reign of the team fight? It's been a really good performance from eBRO. I can't stress that enough. It has been a very clever one from them. And it's a new side to this team that I didn't know was possible for them. Rush getting caught out.
Rush caught out. Yeah, Tidal Wave's already been used to disengage. That's not going to work out. You were talking about the beefy Renekton of Heish. He does try and put some work in, but this has turned and backfired on them a little bit here. They have lost 2 as they go a little too deep in the jungle, and I feel that maybe eBRO is sort of caught up in that bloodlust at the moment and sort of engaging a little where they shouldn't. We know that Isis is not afraid to go looking for those kills.
It's also one of the benefits of having your tier 1 tower still available for Sengoku. It does make rotations to and from the enemy jungle a little harder to achieve, at least it's very telegraphed when you are doing it. So I think this was, again, a benefit of having that tier 1 up, but this is a great response from eBRO. They're just going to go and push that down once they have the advantage. Justly should be able to get out with his ultimate. One of the benefits of Alistair is he can get caught and escape nicely, but there is a giant snowball running down mid, and Rush really wants to look for the fight.
Not going to be able to find it. Kite steps away from it, and you know, I wanted to refer back to that replay, but often, you know, fights do tend to go pretty quick in this game. I was looking at Kite actually on the Kai'Sa, and I saw when he committed, I think he got caught out by the headbutt. I think that's what it was. He'd already committed, and then the headbutt came through, and it kind of sent him into the middle of Sengoku. It was probably like, don't want to be here. This is not where I planned to be. The headbutt pulverized once again coming out, but didn't work out this time. But Wan committing his ulti there, the Chains of Corruption, to try and lock down onto Jastly. Not too sure about that one.
I mean, Jastly didn't have his ultimate available, so when the Alistair doesn't have that ult, it is a relatively easy target. He is now going to be focused down.
Yeah, going to get focused down and finished off, but the rest of the team coming around the side here. And Kite not really on the right wavelength at the moment. Does get the damage down and hacked, but here comes the rest of the team. They really got to respect this, because if they lose too much here, this could be a quick Baron for Sengoku.
Heish not in the fight. You can see the difference in eBRO Gaming when they don't have that crocodile on the front line. When he's not commanding the pace of the fights, it's very different story. They can't quite deal with Hack's maneuverability. They have to respect the Darius a little more than they were previously. I think you just need to, with eBRO, don't get too antsy. You need to play around your 12,000 gold Renekton. This is the person that is going to carry these mid-game team fights for you. And you are starting to work up towards some key item spikes. I will say, though, we are looking at the Orianna. She's not yet finished the Rabadons. You really do want to see the Rabadons for the Orianna because we see the huge power spike and damage output. So we're really waiting for that item in particular to kind of snowball this Orianna into a really strong position. We are seeing the Kai'Sa. She's definitely got all her evolutions online right now. She will be dealing pretty consistent damage. And you can see the eBRO Gaming, with the confidence of Heish nearby, they can set up on this dragon using the Orianna to zone where she can. Rush walking in.
Yeah, nice step in there. Alistair just eating the snowball, knowing that it's going to be done. They do take the dragon down very quickly. Haze goes in. That is a monstrous Renekton with the Dominus running. They catch him out. Justy can't quite get the pull right onto Muchi, but the rest of Haze, oh, Haste taken very low, but gets away. East is putting the damage down. He gets the charm on him. Jastly still come in. S is still alive. Somehow, the headbutt goes down onto Hack there. Hack's getting taken damage, but they are focusing on the turret, while Jastly just commits and keeps two of them dancing to his own tune on the top of the map.
Our Latin America bros are absolutely popping off in this game versus Sengoku. What a great opening game from a team that has looked down and out pretty much versus everyone that they've played against. And they are really giving it to the Japanese team, who definitely looked like they could have been dark horses for the tournament based on their performance yesterday. eBRO Gaming certainly understood their win conditions, though. They knew that they needed time to scale with the Kai'Sa and the Orianna, so we saw that EZ has invested resources heavily into Heish early on, and Heish has carried this mid-game, and now the heavy lifting being done. We're into the Axe replay. We can take a look at exactly how this went down, but it is all about Heish once more. Dives in, flashes straight over, Ruthless Predator to lock down one, and that is now Nami out of the picture. A lot of CC and healing gone, and now you can just see a very easy cleanup. You can see Orianna just untouched because of how much of a distraction that Heish is, quite able to just maneuver his way around the teamfights, being completely you can see the guys completely uninhibited. And when you're able to allow that space for your carries, when your Orianna and Kai'Sa can do that with free reign of positioning and where they are, that is exactly what you want, and that's what Heish is providing for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. Honestly, I feel like this game style that Sengoku is still trying to do. They're still trying to live up to it. Is sort of feeding into eBRO Gaming. Like, they love to stand and bang. They want that fight. They want to get in those team fights, and Sengoku are obliging them. They're saying, yes, we'll do this. And if you think of how it's worked, say, for example, against Queso earlier on in the tournament on day one, well, they were thinking, no, we want to keep separating. We want that split push, and if you want that fight, we will be ready for it, but we're going to get an objective off the back of it. We're not just going to fight needlessly. Here comes the biggest snowball in the world as it comes through. Chastity doing a great job. It's a three-man knock-up pulverized. The tidal wave does come through. The shockwave going to be locking down, and eBRO Gaming are popping off against Sengoku here. Domi is running and keeping Heish alive, but this has gone all manner of wrong. A fantastic stun, a monster Renekton rampaging through the team and setting everything up for eBRO, but that pulverized coming out from Jastly was brilliant.
Yeah, he saw his opportunity and he took it. It is now just the jungler and support versus the Nexus. Heish dives in with the Ruthless Predator. He's just dead. It is Rush versus the world, but the world comes crashing down.